Fox senior political analyst Brit Hume joins us tonight. Brit, there's an awful lot going on, so I just want to go in order through a couple of stories. First, Tillerson, what do you make of this?
Well, it does show that you cannot disagree with the president on major foreign policy issues, to wit the Iran deal,
right,
and last forever. And there are other differences as well, and plus the fact, Tucker, that the State Department can be a pretty bulky place. And this president is nowhere near the first president who's had trouble getting his arms around it and getting control of it. There's a good argument to whether Tillerson did either over there, but there's always this question with secretaries of state. Are they representing the State Department to the White House or the White House to the State Department? And I think that the feeling in this administration, in this White House, was that Tillerson had become, to some extent at least, a creature of the building, although he wasn't thought over there to be all that popular. So his days were probably numbered. It's regrettable, Tucker, because it means we'll have a period of delay while Mike Pompeo gets installed and goes through this arduous confirmation process. The same will be true for his deputy, who's now supposed to take over at CIA. And that leaves a period in which the agencies are not functioning in the way that their new leaders will want them to. And it's regrettable at this, still early stage of this administration that they're still getting the right people in place.
Yeah, it is regrettable. What do you make of the report, the majority report from the Intel Committee yesterday that found no collusion between the Trump campaign and Putin?
I think it's probably correct that committee did find no collusion. And I would note, Tucker, this is in the face of all the criticism that House Intel Committee and its majority have received, that meanwhile, over in the sainted Senate Intelligence Committee, its chairman, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Republican of North Carolina, said to a television interview in the last day or so that investigation, which has been thought to be very much more sober and bipartisan and better, had come so far essentially the same conclusion. And I think there's a good reason for that. In all likelihood, there was no collusion, and there's been no evidence of it so far. And I think that piece of their conclusion is probably correct. And I noticed that even Adam Schiff of California, who's been a dogged dissenter and one might say a very partisan one on that House committee, even he, in denouncing the conclusions, all he said was the investigation should continue. He did not say that he or that committee has evidence that would dispute or even refute the committee's conclusion on collusion.
That's a good point. He called it a tragic milestone, but didn't explain why. And finally, the special election in Pennsylvania tonight, a district outside Pittsburgh. The president won by 20 points. Seems very tight tonight. What does this mean? Are we inflating its meaning, undervaluing it? What do you think?
Well, it's such an odd election, Tucker, that I would hesitate to draw major conclusions from it. Certainly, the closeness of the race is a sign of the force of the protest vote that will come out to vote for the Democrat because of Mr. Trump. I don't think there's much question about that. In addition, they have this young and rather attractive candidate on the Democratic side and a somewhat dowdy character on the Republican side. And this is also conducted to some extent in the shadow of the departure of the previous Republican incumbent, who left amid a sex scandal. That always casts a pall over his party's nominee in a special election of this kind. But bear in mind that this is an election to fill a seat between now and basically next November, in which there'll be a whole new district because of redistricting, and this district will go away. So legislatively, it's pretty insignificant, but it will be seen as a bellwether on both sides, depending on who wins. No doubt about it.
It's interesting that the Democrat is running away from the gun issue, which I think a lot of Democrats think is a winner for them, but not this one, apparently.
Oh yeah, he certainly is, and and he's saying he won't back Nancy Pelosi for Speaker. He's trying to convince the people in that district. While it's a majority Democratic district, it's been hospitable to Republicans for a long time now, and it's certainly been considered a safe red district. He hasn't run away from the party on everything. I gather he did not support the tax cut, which I think the benefits of which may be starting to be felt in that district. So we'll see what effect that has. But there's a lot of cross currents here, Tucker. It's an unusual race.
Brit Hume, the voice of reason in a turbulent world. Thank you, Brit.
Thanks, Tucker.